Hey guys, it's Scott from fxmissions.com. Just a note, I've finished the trilogy of anthologies From the Forefront, and all 3 books are currently available on Amazon.
Take your leadership to the next level. It's time for the Foundational Missions Leadership Moment with Scott McClelland of FX Missions.
Hey, Scott McClelland here with you. All right. Hey, just a little housekeeping item here on what you're about to enjoy. This is a multi-part series with Caleb Lorensen. Caleb took time to join us from his home in Chiang Mai, Thailand. The audio sounds awesome. Trust me, I know. But I think you're going to really enjoy this series. He took some time and broke it down with me about one of the leaders he's come to recently admire. I think you're going to maybe feel the same way. Jean Vanier. Anyway, it's a French name, and I, according to the French, cannot do very good with my accents. I'm not going to argue. But nonetheless, this is a very inspiring character. This is a multi-part series. Caleb, I think, sits in with us for 4 sessions. So you're going to want to check all those out. Straight ahead, coming at you, Profiles in Leadership from the Leadership Moment with Caleb Lorensen from Chiang Mai, Thailand. I want to just do a quick recap.
Yeah.
It's like Jean Vanier. And you know what? So Jean Vanier, we're going to do this in like 30-second recap.
Go for it.
He was born into near royalty in Canada, a Catholic background, military family, Navy urgings early on. He went that route, was basically barely missed war, saw a lot of carnage on both sides of a couple of major wars, and then got interested in philosophy, went to university, got a doctoral thesis. It sounds like he went all the way.
Yeah, I think so.
And then he got interested in social services. Some would call that the nonprofit world or something of the kind.
Yep.
And then he had some encounters in that space with the mentally handicapped or the
I think intellectual disabilities is the correct word, I think, is the...
Okay. Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. Well, thanks for that, Caleb.
Yeah.
My sensitivities are
I wasn't using the right word earlier, so I'm correcting myself. Yep.
And so his heart was kind of like really stirred, and this became a major thrust of his life. He started by taking out a few of these mentally handicapped guys and basically creating community where they lived together. And that sparked something that had a life of its own, it sounds like, and became a worldwide, or at least covering a good bit of those number of locations. I'm guessing it'd be all over.
Yeah,
does that sound right?
37 countries with a total of 168 communities.
Okay. That's huge.
Yeah. Super.
I mean, now this sounds extremely organic, which for me, I'm a fan of organic.
Yeah.
But it sounds like if you thought about that in terms of a multinational corporation, there's not that many multinational corporations that have a presence in 30-some countries. So the scope of this is not insignificant. That's one thing I want to emphasize.
Yeah, I agree.
So he was a substantial person.
Yeah.
Probably one of those people that outsizes the context. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Like he shows up and, he kind of, I don't know, dominates the attention cycle is kind of maybe a good way to say it.
Yeah,
He's
I wonder that.
Powerful guy.
So in the biographers and the people that have talked about him, they talk about he's big, like about my size, more than 6 feet. He had a sort of this joyful presence to him that was also gentle. So you felt safe and good around him. And
wow.
And so there's something in that. That's true. Yeah.
I think we've all seen people who outsize the context. in different ways. I think when as a leader, when you start to understand that you have something special or some kind of grace to influence others, you're super tempted at that point to use those in such endowments in a self-serving kind of a way. But it sounds like he went like maybe the totally opposite way.
Yeah.
And sort of went to a least of these kind of deal, in terms of the way the world looks at it.
Yep. Yeah.
Wow. Like people who are lost, forgotten, and in terrible conditions.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow.
Yep.
Wow. Thanks for doing a recap. I think I missed my 1 minute target. But
that's okay. That was very effective. You made me feel good about my communication skills there.
Yeah, it was all coming through, man. I just wanted to just to kind of sync that up. And obviously, we're going to break this leadership moment into a number of episodes, probably 3. So I think there's a lot more to say about him. Yeah. And what I'd like to get into next, if we can, is I know you read some about him and did some research, and you were inspired, it sounds like, by his approach.
Yes.
Probably not only what he did, but how he did it.
Yeah.
But what I like to figure out here or talk into and hope to understand is why did he do what he did? Did you get a sense of that from what you studied?
Yes. I think first, I think it's important to acknowledge that he was a man that sought after a life of prayer and sought also after wisdom and understanding. And he had this almost liturgical life. And so I think we would be remiss to say that there's an element of God moving in his heart, drawing him to this. But then in that, he talks about it, and even in the biography, of this sense of needing to be a service to humanity just because that's what he was raised in. And as he calls himself a child of war, and having seen all of the pain caused by war, he wanted to bring some healing. So I think that's part of it. And then I also think that something of this radical, I don't want to say radical, it's maybe an overused word, but a deep connection with his own self and a willing to be honest with himself. One of his biographies is called The Portrait of a Free Man. And so he was just so willing to let go of all the peripheral and just focus on the people in front of him. And then it also allowed him to go deeper into himself in order to get free from all of the hang-ups and ego and all that stuff. So, yeah.
Wow. There's a lot of why in there. And I think if we, it's hard to cover in just a handful of words.
Yeah, it is.
The motivations, the reasons that animate people. So I think when we recognize the sources of people's animation, I think we can say with some measure of certainty that he was being animated by the Spirit of the Lord,
Yeah.
And here's something I want to point out that I think we get wrong a lot of times, or culturally, and I'm talking about Christian culture here. Yep. We get it wrong. We think this guy should have been a priest, or he should have been somehow, further along the spiritual discipline that he was in. And we're looking for sometimes some kind of specialist level official kind of whatever to put people in. And I think what he wanted to do was serve. And it seems like he stayed clear of getting sucked into the idea that he had to do something from an office type of thing. He went the other way.
Yeah, that's fascinating. And there's actually, in the growth and growing pains of the organization, he always focuses on, like, we need each other. He has a book called We Need Each Other. And
Wow.
There's this emphasis on that every person needs people. We need each other. And in that, he was always collaborating with anybody that could be of assistance, or any assistant who is looking to come and serve. He was always looking to, build those relationships, empower the people, walk with them. But in that, he, being Catholic, worked with a lot of priests within local communities. And some that he worked closest with, there was huge conflict because Jean refused to adopt the hierarchical leadership of the Catholic Church. And he wanted to be ecumenical. He wanted to allow any faith and any expression of faith to be a part of L'Arche. And he made sure that happened, and it caused some people to leave because of his refusal to embrace the Catholic Church's hierarchical leadership structure.
Wow.
Yeah.
That just makes me think a lot of things.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it intrigues me,
Yeah.
and it also makes me happy in a way. I want to say, first of all, the Catholic Church, from a Protestant point of view, takes a pretty bad rap,
Yeah.
I mean, it seems like that we are sworn to opposition a lot of times toward each other. But some of the most inspiring characters in my spiritual history, it's been there have been Catholic people in history that have really encouraged me, and I think informed my life and informed my leadership approach.
Absolutely.
And so I want to say we need each other. Ha 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 ha!
Yeah.
It's a real thing.
Yeah.
And I think we somehow feel like we get an excuse for, hating other believers. Please continue joining us for the ongoing series here on Jean Vanier with Caleb Lorensen. And thanks for being a part of the FX Missions Leadership Moment. Profiles in Leadership.
This leadership moment was produced in partnership with Engaging Missions. Have your leadership question answered by contacting Scott at fxmissions.com. Visit FX Missions to learn more about how you can grow your leadership and engage in missions. Visit engagingmissions.com for encouragement, insight, and resources from missionaries, ministry leaders, and church planters.